Welcome to episode 15.
It is episode 15, isn't it? Mate, last week banged.
Yeah, we've got as of now, we've got like 215 views, I think. It's not bad. Getting close to that magic 1,000. Yeah, 216 on that one, the one before 210. So those are our two highest videos actually. So uploading in the manner that I suggested and only doing one every fortnight looks to have worked.
Nah, because the first episode we did back barely got any views. I think they're just very clickbaity videos, aren't they?
Yeah, I knew the recent one would do that, but I guess the one before that we spoke about Fury, Jake Paul fight and KSI, so I guess that's clickbaity as well. So we'll have to speak about what we're planning to do in this episode anyway, is do a few deep would you rather questions. However, we'll put the title as like we have our say on such and such Al Qaeda or something like that.
Saying that, so when you put more aggressive titles, so like if you include the words like war or death or like fighting and things like that, they tend to get more views. Apparently it's natural human instinct to look at like those sort of words, like the whole babies looking at aggressive faces thing.
Yeah, well, we know what we're going to put in the title then.
Babies going to war.
Just put in war, whatever. Clickbait. Yeah,
that's it, mate. That's all. Right, should we get cracking then?
Yeah, a bit different today. I had a flat tire this morning, so I couldn't go around to the studio. It's fine now.
We could be doing this face to face, Phil.
No, but I didn't want to start driving then, and all of a sudden here, like, boom, 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 boom.
Run out of petrol.
Yeah, exactly like that. And I've burst that same tire before, and it was not a great experience. So, yeah, hey ho. But we move. Technology nowadays, you know, Zoom. You've got this horrendous pixelated camera. But hey ho. No, I mean mine is not great. I don't think.
It's the same, mate. Fucking recorded in 8K Ultra HD.
It reminds me of, you know, you don't really go on Twitter, do you? But the last couple of weeks, there's been a tweet that says like, respond to this tweet with your favorite videos, and it's people putting in videos that would have gone around on Bluetooth like back in the day. Like, you know, that video of that geezer driving a tractor being like, shall I do him? Shall I overtake him? I shouldn't I? And then overtaking his dad. And he's like, he does not look happy. You know the video, or?
Never seen it.
Yeah. But yeah, today we're going to ask some deep would you rather questions. So what prompted this, actually, I watched another podcast do it, and I thought a few of the questions, I haven't stolen their questions, but I thought a few of the questions that they asked were quite good conversation starters. So first one that I've got is, would you rather be rich and not respected, or just be normal but respected by everyone?
Is that like, are you respected like worldwide, or?
I think we can just say by people you know, I guess.
By people you know.
Or people who meet you type thing.
Oh, fair. I'd say that, because then you can leverage that into money. Everyone respects you, and like everyone's like, oh yeah, decent bloke, and that you're more likely to get opportunities which could lead to more money. Where if you're rich, then no one's got like any respect for you. Then you're just kind of a rich arsehole with no mates, isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't think you have to respect all your friends. You could still have friends. I'm sure I have some friends that I don't respect all of their life decisions and choices and what have you. I do a podcast with one of them, actually.
Oh, you got another podcast with someone else?
Yeah, I mean, as I would expect that answer from you, Troy, as someone who doesn't have or really hold any respect from others, it'd be nice of you to strive for respect.
Not a very nice thing to say, is it?
No, I'm joking. I think why it's interesting for me is because I think most people would say respected, but I think I'd rather be rich, because I just sort of think if you took my situation now and just added money to it, and everyone didn't respect me, but I still had like my family, missus, and fuckloads of money.
So is there people still like you because there's a difference between like
Yeah,
I've got people that I like, but I'm like, I mean, I don't have a lot of like respect for you as a person.
I think we should quantify what we mean. How about, like you said, everyone thinks you're a rich arsehole. Everyone thinks you're a flash prick, a rich arsehole. You don't get any respect in with your, whether it's friends. You have friends, but they don't respect you. Colleagues don't respect you. Um, I guess like someone who gets an inheritance, they're super rich, but no one really looks at them with any respect. You just think you're a silver spoon fed gimp, basically. If we quantify it that way, probably respect, I guess, because like you say, respect can get you in the door. And if you build up a good rapport with someone and someone who's looking to hire you or looking for an investment opportunity respects you, then I guess you are likely to get more opportunity. But I think I'm well respected and no one's biting my hand off for opportunities. So who
Well,
knows?
obviously, you're not respected enough, then, Bill. That's what it is.
Don't put your own issues onto me, please, Char.
Projected. Yeah, no, I do think I'd go for the respect. It does. It depends on what level you go to, though, doesn't it? Because if it's just your mates, or like you're not gonna get respect beyond your current circle, then yeah, it's a bit. It's
Be rich in a whole group.
pointless, isn't it? You might as well just become a rich arsehole.
Yeah, it's a tough one because I also sort of don't really care. I care about like what a handful of people think. And like some of my best friends, I care about what they think. I care if they respect me. My family, I care what they. But a lot of my friends, if they turned around and said they don't have respect for me or they don't, I don't think I'd care that much either. I think there's a few like select of really good friends that I would, but overall, I don't really care what the vast majority of people do think of me anyway. So I would maybe be rich because I couldn't care less anyway. You can think I'm a dick. I'll cry in my Bugatti in my mansion.
We've been watching too much Andrew Tate, innit? What colour's your Bugatti?
No, he's a melt. No, I don't know. It's a tough one. I'm gonna right. Final answer. I'm gonna go respected.
Yeah, I'd say respected.
This is a good one too.
Next
Would
question.
you rather be remembered for only for the bad things you've done, or be forgotten straight after death?
Forgotten straight after death. Most people are forgotten straight after death anyway.
No, yeah, they're not though, because you've got to think if you died now, you'd be remembered for the rest of my life,
Mate,
which is another 60 years.
I've got a really good quote about this. I've got to get it up. So funny you've mentioned this. So by a geezer called Alex Hormozy. I don't know if he actually made this up. I'll read the whole quote. Here we go. Oh, fucking Twitter. Not now. Oh, here we go. So everyone is going to forget about you 6 months after you die, and in 3 generations, everyone who ever knew you will be dead. Probably worth doing what you want between now and then, because everyone's going to forget about you eventually, anyways.
Yeah. However, there is that 3 generation that gets spoken about a lot in terms of your name will stop getting mentioned in 2 generations or whatever. Your grandkids will remember you, but they won't probably speak about you to their kids because it's not something you do really. You speak about your parents. And yeah, so in 60 years, in 50, 60 years, most people are forgotten, completely forgotten, because everyone they ever knew is dead. And majority of the people who are around now were never around when they were alive. But still, you haven't answered the question.
Yeah, so that's it. I'd rather just because if you're going to be remembered for all the bad things you've done, does that same thing still apply that after a few generations, no one's ever going to remember you anyway?
Yeah, we're not talking like you're Hitler. I think we're talking like your actual family and your friends. No, like you're not going to be some historical villain, but your family and friends say like your mum at your funeral only then has memories after you die of times you've annoyed her, times you've upset her, times you've thrown up all over the floor in your downstairs toilet, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
one time's enough.
I'd still probably rather be forgotten because I don't think it's nice to have just purely like sour memories of someone that's passed away.
But the idea of your family I agree, but your family and friends just after dies, just boom, out of head.
Yeah, but then
No one will ever speak about or think about you again.
your whole life. But then what would you rather every time someone thought about you that they were just pissed off and they were like, oh, that cunt, I wish you never fucking existed in the first place? Or up until the day you die, they have a great time with you.
Well, they can still do that regardless.
But they're not gonna remember the great times. All they're gonna do is remember the bad times. So I'd rather them just have a great time and then forget about it.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I think being forgotten straight away is horrendous. And yeah, naturally, you don't want your family and friends, like your close family and friends, to only remember bad stuff about you, but to be forgotten completely and never thought about again as soon as you die. That is no one at your funeral, because it's as soon as you die. So no send off, you die, and then everyone just forgets about you
And you
completely.
get to save a few quid on funeral costs.
Yeah, true. Who do you leave your inheritance to, though?
Pardon?
Who do you leave your savings to? Say you got kids. You can't leave them money to them because they don't remember you. There's no will.
This wasn't part of Would You Rather. You never said you can't leave stuff to people.
Well, how are you leaving it to them? They don't remember you. There's no funeral. There's no will.
Well, no, you're fucking adding in layers to this.
No, it's the case.
Okay, so if you can't leave anything to anyone, then obviously you'd be the arsehole, wouldn't you? Because then you can leave whatever you got to someone. But I feel like you're adding in unnecessary layers.
Would you want to leave something behind to someone that only thinks bad things of you?
Oh, Siri's getting involved. Yeah, fuck it, because obviously I don't only think bad things of them if I'm going to leave them something behind.
You don't have anything either, really. Just that bottle.
I don't have any grandkids or kids yet, so.
Yeah, I agree though. Yeah, I think forgotten. While it's a sad. Either way is sad. Like there's no winning answer there. Everyone remembers bad stuff, or you just get forgotten. Both is peak, but I think it would be the latter for sure. Get forgotten.
Like I said, you are forgotten eventually anyway. So
yeah, you are. Yeah, it's like, have you seen that film? That Mexican cartoon film. It's a Disney film, but it's set in Mexico, The Day of the Dead or something.
Oh, Coco.
Coco, yeah. And the concept they have in that, The Day of the Dead, they put up all pictures of family. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't. I just know what the film's called.
So basically, on the Day of the Dead, it's a big celebration in Mexico. On the Day of the Dead, basically families put up pictures on like the mantelpiece of all family members that they've lost. So father, mother, brother, whatever it is, grandparents, and they put up photos of that as a celebration, and they then celebrate. But what happens in Coco is people in the afterlife can come back to Earth for one day, not as like a physical being that the people can actually see, but they can come back to Earth and like be around their family, etc., as a spirit. For one day or on that Day of the Dead, and they've got like barriers and security and stuff when you're passing over. And if no one's put up a picture of you, i.e., you've been forgotten, you can't come through, and you can never pass through into the world again. So that's the concept of. So in that, he's working. I think the kid is trying to basically save someone who's his real dad or his real granddad or something that no one knew it was, and there's no pictures of him, no one remembers him, etc. So without getting a picture of him and putting it up and getting back to the thing, he can't ever come again. But that is a sad concept as well. What you're saying about in a couple of generations everyone forgets you is in that Day of the Dead thing that they do. If no one's put up a picture of you, it means you've forgotten essentially, and you can never come back. So yeah, pretty deep. Sad stuff.
Disney filling out the deep bars once again.
Right. Another good one. Would you rather be the smartest person in the world or the richest? I will answer this first. I would rather be, because this is a tricky one as well, like richest in the world would be nuts. However, you could be just a dumb fuck with no personality as well, and you could know nothing, which is also pretty horrendous, because even if you're the richest man in the world, you could just get scammed by fucking solar panel salesmen and window glazers and whatnot out of your money. I would rather be the smartest person in the world.
Double glazing salesman, Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, well, you know what I meant. I'd rather be the smartest person in the world, because you can use that. Not only are you literally the smartest person in the world, you can use that intelligence for money. You can set up businesses. You can go on like fucking, I want to be a billionaire or whatever, and answer every question right and win that money. So you could build a fortune up just by using your intelligence anyway. Is the way I saw it.
I feel like, again, it's adding, just because you're the richest person in the world doesn't mean you're then the dumbest person in the world, does it?
No, I didn't say you have to be, but I'm saying you could well be.
Yeah.
You could still be an intelligent person by all means, but you could well be the richest in the world, but dumb or.
The only thing I would say is, like, being the smartest person in the world, historically, the smartest people in the world aren't the richest people in the world. Like, you look, so if someone was like, name the smartest person, people would be like Einstein, Stephen Hawking, or I'm trying to think. To be fair, Elon Musk, apparently he's like super smart and he's one of the richest men in the world. But if
I agree.
Name famous scientists, they're not typically known to be the multi-billionaires of the world, are they?
No, I'm saying this is you answering it. So if I could snap my fingers and be the smartest person in the world, I would use that intelligence to get money.
Yeah. I suppose, how do you quantify like the smartest though? Are you smart in one subject, or do you just know fucking everything about everything?
I think, I don't know, because no one can know no one can know absolutely everything in the world. But I think intelligence is how easily you can learn things and pick things up. So, like, say you had a photographic memory, so you could read absolutely everything in the world and then just know it. Or, I don't know, smartest, highest IQ, sharpest, quickest thinker. But you could use that for a lot of good as well.
Well, you're going to become a super villain, smartest man in the world.
I'll become Batman.
It's
actually quite interesting though that someone is the smartest person in the world and probably doesn't even know.
Yeah, but then there's a lot. I say there's a lot, but like IQ tests and that, they're not great. What's it? They don't transfer over into a lot of things. So like, you get some people that have got fucking, because they do a lot of it with kids, don't they? Like, they'll test their IQ and be like, oh, this kid is a fucking child genius, like better IQs than some of the best minds in the world. But he has no idea how to have a conversation with another child, can't play, can't think themselves out of situations, like they've got no real world, no real world skills, but they can fucking do algebra. It's like, well, great, but what are you going to do when you're trying to pass your driving test?
Probably drive.
No, but you know what I mean? There's no other skills. So I'd probably be the richest person in the world.
You've not convinced me. I think smartest, definitely. Because you know everything. You know absolutely everything. You've got the best business acumen.
Okay, so I just said, do you know everything about everything? And you said, I don't know. So if you're going to know everything about everything, then I'd be the smartest person.
No, you can't change your answer. You've already answered. But I mean, what you're saying as well about the smartest person, but you can't interact. I'm putting myself as the smartest person. I can interact with people. You know, I'm not autistic.
You're the smartest. You get to choose.
No, I'm saying, like, I would put that in me. You're asking, would you rather be the richest person or the smartest? If you could just make me the smartest person in the world, then I'd rather be that person. I wouldn't want to shapeshift into some four-eyed little loser. No offense, but like some little dork that is the smartest person in the world. I wouldn't want to like morph into whoever the smartest person in the world currently is. I would just want that intelligence in me, I think. But I think I'd go for smartest for sure.
Well, yeah, you could use the intelligence. But yeah, I'd go for richest. What's next question?
Be blind or deaf? Would you rather be blind or deaf?
Deaf. Yeah, deaf, 100%.
Yeah, same. I think with blindness, like with deaf, it's peak not being able to hear, but you can still see everything and have your wits about you, and obviously you can still communicate via sign language and whatnot. Being blind, I think, would be absolute horror. Even though you can hear things and feel like it, I just think that would be absolute horror, like not knowing what's going on around you, not being able to see. I mean, there's circumstances where hearing is obviously more important than seeing. Like if you're crossing the
Are
fucking
you
road.
deaf from birth? So like you've never heard anything in your life, or are you like if you gradually become deaf?
Either. Would you rather be born blind or deaf? Firstly,
I'd rather be born deaf.
yeah.
I feel like as well
And
you've got hearing aids, haven't you? Although it doesn't fix it, it helps.
no,
Whereas
we're saying deaf. You're deaf.
you're deaf, like you can't
Fully
hear.
deaf. Because you could just say, "Oh no, we'll put you on glasses," and then you're not blind.
No,
You are literally deaf.
I wear glasses. I wear glasses and I can see without them. I don't need a fucking like.
No, but I'm saying you're blind or deaf. Full stop. You can't put on glasses. You can't put a hearing aid in. You're blind or deaf. I'd rather be deaf for sure because I think you have to see what's going on around you.
Yeah, no, yeah, 100%. I'd rather be deaf.
Even in like watching TV, you can put subtitles on. Whereas when you're blind, you can listen to TV, but you can't see it. So it's like
With the TV.
braille. Like during sex, you can't see, but you can hear them moaning or whatever. Not that you make women moan, but you can't see it. Yeah, and that's what arouses you, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I suppose it's all your senses, though, isn't it? With that, so that's why some people
Well,
like being
no.
blindfolded during.
When you're in a pub, not you, but just in general, or a club, and you see a fit bird, you don't hear her speak and go, "Oh, that sounds like a fit bird." You don't go up to her and feel her breasts and go, "Oh, that feels like a decent bird." You use your eyes
Have you
because
ever
that's
seen?
where the first point of attraction comes.
Have you ever seen?
Love isn't all about looks, obviously, but the first point of attraction to a woman or to a man, if you're a woman or whatever, is the like physical, visible attraction. You see someone, you think they look decent, and then most people, not you, but most people would approach that person and then speak to them.
Hey, you got a fucking issue with me. You've been digging me out a lot this episode.
I'm joking, mate. I'm
Someone
sure you do sometimes.
gets one girlfriend in his life, all of a sudden becomes fucking Hitch.
Yeah, you only need one,
That's it.
unless the relationship fails, which touch wood it shan't. But you only need the one, mate. The one could be for life.
That's true. That is true.
Are you trying to dig out my relationship and hope that it ends, or
Oh no,
you got
jumped the gun a bit there, didn't you? But yeah, you know you said about that blind thing. You ever see that film, Dude, Where's My Car? With the blind.
I've seen it when I was younger. I don't remember a blind
He's like,
person.
there's aliens in it. He's like, we are hot chicks. And this blind kid's like, oh yeah, I need to feel your face to see who you are. And he feels and he starts like grabbing her boobs and that.
No, I've not seen. But have you seen, actually, speaking of blindness, have you seen those? There's like a couple of thriller films of Be Quiet or something,
Oh,
where there's that older man who's blind, but he's obviously got a combat background, like he's good at scrapping and whatnot. He's got the moves and he's got, like, he's good at listening and what have you. And people break into his house and
yeah.
he wakes up and then. You haven't seen it?
No.
There's a second one where he has a daughter or something, and like something happens to his daughter. I don't know, but there's two. They're actually quite good films. But he can still like function as a blind, because again, when someone is blind for an extended period of time, they can function. Like they can function normally, but I just think you can function better when seeing.
You learn to deal with it, but as a choice, if you get the choice, I'd rather be deaf.
Yeah, same.
How much of your
But
life?
then that is, I'm looking at it like it's an easy question, but you can never ever listen to music again. You can never hear like someone call your name again. You can never like listen to TV. You have to just read the subtitles. Like that is also, it's not that easy a decision. I think I would rather, for sure, but like, do you not listen to music?
Yeah, but I suppose it's what if you're saying it's from birth, then you're never going to know any different, are you?
No, I'm saying either. So whether it's from birth or whether it's from today, someone says to you, blind or deaf, choose, and you've lived your life, my answer would be the same. But yeah,
I think from birth I'd rather be deaf, but I don't know. But I probably would still stick to the being deaf.
What have you got against blind people?
I don't know. I'm semi the way there myself.
All right, yeah. I think I'd rather be deaf for sure. And then you can just play on your deafness too as well to like ignore the misses and
That's
ignore people, you
you
know.
know what? In school, did you ever have deaf people in school?
I think we had kids with hearing aids who struggled to hear, but not
That's
proper
a
deaf.
deaf person. That's
No, but what I'm talking about is like deaf, because some people are deaf to the point where a hearing aid doesn't. You're just deaf. You cannot hear. You go to that point where you're completely deaf, and even a hearing aid doesn't help. But they do have those implant things now, I guess, like that bird of Love Island.
yeah, mate.
But
So
no, yeah, we have people with hearing aids. Yeah,
at school, I say all the deaf kids, large majority of them were
they all
absolute,
congregated together.
they were arseholes. I don't know why, but they just were. Like so many of them were just
Sounds
absolute.
like you bullied them.
I never done anything, but they were just dicks. I didn't hang around with them, but they were just like anything they'd fucking tell on you. Like you could just be hanging around, they'd walk past, see you do something, they'd fucking run and tell the teacher. I'm not saying all
Yeah.
deaf people are arseholes, but my experience as a child, they were all just absolute twats. It's like they use deaf as an excuse for being an absolute dick.
Yeah, that happened in my school with people like it's like that episode of In-Betweeners where that geezer's in a wheelchair
Oh yeah,
and he's just you did get that in school. Like we had freaks and nerds who were like they were just horrible people, and then when you were horrible back, they'd like I used to get reported for bullying on occasions, right? And I'd just be like to them, this geezer's a wanker. Like he's horrible to people. I'm horrible to him, or he's been rude to me, so I'm fucking rude to him. Why is it bullying when I do it? Like I just have to ignore.
your wrongs don't make a right.
No, but like same as you're saying, if someone with some sort of physical or mental ailment was horrid to you, I guess you can be the bigger person and just ignore them. But at that age, you just think, well, you can fuck off. But then you'll always come off second best because the teacher will be like, come on. But that's what they were like. Like we had kids that were dicks, and then they'd be like, oh, they're going through it at home. And while I get the point of yeah, look, they're going through shit at home and blah blah blah, I just think, well, not relevant to like he's been a prick to me. It did happen at school, but no, we didn't have any congregation of horrible deaf kids. Chart the deaf kids were fairly normal at my school, just trying to live their life, not getting bullied by someone called Charlie Cannon.
I never bullied them. It was the same. They would just be they just be absolute twats. And if you ever gave it back, it'd be the same thing. The teacher would take their side.
Yeah, that's the way of the world, unfortunately. Though
Oh,
this is a good one too. Let's move on to the next question.
okay.
A text off. Would you rather get a text off a one night stand saying she's pregnant, or that she's got an incurable STD? I'm gonna add something to this because incurable means for life, right?
Yeah.
Like say like HIV, you can get that now and take medication to lower the levels and still live your life, but you're always going to have it, and you can live longer and whatnot, but you're always going to have it. I'm going to add to this that you get a text saying she's pregnant and she's keeping it because that is also for life. Because you could say, oh no, get the pregnant text because we could get an abortion. I'm saying she wants to keep it, so that is incurable STD for life, or you're going to have a baby with this person.
Um, you have to have the baby with the person. Like you have to.
Well, you can't just leave it,
No,
child.
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying like you got to get like fucking married to this person and
No. Just you're gonna have to have the baby. You can co-parent. You don't have to be together, but you're gonna co. She says, "I'm gonna keep it." Basically,
baby.
I don't know. I think they're both not ideal, but like you could be in a position where you're not financially ready, mature levels. You're not ready. Like you cannot deal with a baby, and like with a STD, with like AIDS or HIV.
But
I
then you
think when you're HIV, it's not AIDS, it's when you're HIV positive because it's slightly different. You can live your life very normally taking these tablets and
yeah,
you
but
can't
then
pass it on to anyone. So you can have sex, you can live your life, you can try for babies even. It's
I thought
always
if you
there.
had something. I thought if you had something like that, it was guaranteed to pass on if you had unprotected.
No, no, I mean it was. No, it always was for years. But the drugs they have now basically allows you to live longer and it drops the levels of the disease in your body to the point where after you take it for X amount of months, the levels start dropping, obviously, and you then get to a point where you can actually have sex without passing it on, and you can actually have babies without passing it on. It's always there, and you have to tell people you've got it. I think you can't
Yes,
say you
some
tell
guy
someone.
got arrested for it, didn't he, a few years ago?
Mate, Gareth Thomas, the rugby player, got arrested. Like he's going through something at the moment now. He was a pundit in one of the Six Nations games the other week, and everyone was just like, "How are you giving this geezer a platform?" He purposely, apparently, had sex with someone without telling them that he had it and has passed it on, and they want him done for like attempted murder because you cannot not. And he knew full well that he had it and he could pass it on. He didn't tell the bloke, and the bloke's now contracted it. So yeah, you can, but I don't know if that was when back before he was on the drugs or whether it's now. I'm pretty sure now the drugs are that good where you still have to tell people legally, I think. But yeah, I don't know. I think that I was going to say from my perspective, because I'm in a relationship, I couldn't have a kid with someone else. But then it's the same result, because if you tell your missus I've got someone pregnant or tell your missus I've got an STD, it's come from the same thing. You've cheated either way.
Yeah.
But if I was single, you don't want HIV, do you? You don't want that, do you? But the bait, like, imagine you're like 18, you've got no job, you're at uni,
But yeah, I
this
suppose
person,
if you're gonna add all these extra constraints in that, then you can fucking like you can make any situation seem worse than it could be.
I'm not adding constraints. I'm just
Like,
saying, imagine in like if you were a millionaire, by all means, you'd have the baby because it wouldn't cost you nothing. But I'm saying, as a normal person, that throws a whole spanner in the works to your life.
But I feel like a lot of people do this happens to a lot of people and they figure it out. You make it work.
Yeah, but people do the same with HIV now.
A little bit different. I'd rather have a kid. I think I'm ready to be a dad. I'd be a good dad. I love kids.
Yeah, no, I think the kid as well. Get a text her for one night stand. That woman could be a nightmare though, and she could use that kid as a weapon.
All right, but then yeah, I suppose if you want to get like all
It's a one night stand, isn't it? So it's not like you know what they're like. They could be lovely.
Does, especially the UK law system does favour the women, but with that, if you're gonna like, if say you have the kid and that starts happening, then that's just another thing you got to cross down. But you don't have to have a life with this person, do you? Just got to have the kid. And if that person then tries to make you not a part of that kid's life, I suppose the would you rather doesn't really go beyond it doesn't think about the psychological implications of not being part of that kid's life.
Exactly, and because people can use kids as a weapon very easily, and like I see a story as well of a woman in the States that told like 3 or 4 blokes they were the dad to get child support of them, and they all were seeing this kid like on various different weekends, and it was on one of them Maury or fucking Jerry Springer, but like I think it was actually Judge Judy even, and he was suing her, and they did a test and found out that he was not the child's father basically, and he like cried, and the woman laughed, and the judge was just like, who the fuck are you laughing at? You don't even know who this kid's father is, and you've got a geezer here who wants to be part of this child's life and has paid for it, and you're celebrating that that's not the child's father. Like, shame on you. But that's something. So she had several blokes paying child support, all thinking that this kid was theirs, meeting up with her on weekends. Yeah, crazy. But obviously that's irrelevant. I think if you had a nightmare of a mum, that would be peak and maybe worse than HIV. But yeah, I think it would be the kid, because although you don't have to have a relationship with the woman, she can still control the child and like tell you to pay her for XYZ, and you can't prove that the money's not actually going towards the child, etc. So, but I do agree. I think it is a tough one, but probably get that text of pregnant and keeping it.
Yeah, no, I do. I suppose like it depends how far down the would you rather rabbit hole you want to go. But I
think we've gone far enough.
At face value, I would rather someone text me saying they're pregnant.
Fair. I think I'm the same. Yeah, definitely. Would you rather everyone ignored you or everyone was horrible to you?
Both happened. Both have happened on this podcast.
I don't ignore you.
Do you know, this sounds like a fucking like I'm desperate for attention, but I'd rather everyone be horrible to me. Is it horrible as in like banter, or is it horrible as in like people are actual arseholes to you?
No, horrible.
Like proper, they'll fucking leave
Like
you
everyone.
leave you out of
Parents
things.
are horrible to you. Your friends are horrible to you. If you've got a missus, it's like that woman who abused Johnny Depp. Horrible.
Um, that's a tough one because I feel like either way, life's just gonna be lonely and shit, isn't it?
Life will be. That is actually very. I don't even know what mine would be to this because
If
if
you're
everyone ignores you, you are literally alone for the rest of your life. You are alone. Like you're not. No one's. You can't have any friends. You can't have any family. Really, you can't have a spouse. You could still live your life.
yeah,
I
can
guess
you
you could
be
have a
like
job where
can you
everyone
just be in
ignores you.
social settings and then people just don't acknowledge you when you're there?
Yeah.
That's be
And
like
like you speak to someone, they ignore you. Even if you're at a shop, say they'll let you buy the thing, but just ignore, not actually speak to you. That'd be. I think I'd probably have everyone be horrible to me because I'll argue with people. Be
fucking,
horrible to me. I'll
that's
argue.
no wonder everyone's fucking horrible to you if you're just gonna argue with them.
But I think when I saw the question, I was thinking I'd rather everyone ignore me because I'd just go about my life happy as Larry. But after literally a week, no one speaks to you, everyone ignores you like that. It would get insufferable.
Yeah. Oh, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because if you're just if people are just being horrible to you 24/7, you're just gonna fucking have enough. I suppose if everyone's horrible to you, you do then have the option to just take a break and like
Yeah,
seclude
not
yourself.
speak to anyone for a day.
But, yeah, it's a difficult one. I think I'd have
But
to.
then your loved ones being horrible to you, you wouldn't want that either. But then you don't want to be ignored by your loved ones either.
No, it's too difficult. I would say, yeah, probably being horrible though, because I would then just you take so much abuse and you'd be like, oh, do you know what? I'm just gonna seclude myself for a day.
Yeah, I agree. I think horrible. At least you'd have some human contact, and you could go out with your mates and have a beer, and they're being mean to you, but you can still be there and have your beer.
Have you seen? Do you remember that video of that guy that went a stag do? He's like, as long as I'm involved. Do you know what
Yeah, used to be the brunt of the joke. Lads, beer, beer, beer. Yeah, and he's like, a lot of banter flying around. They're usually aimed at me, as long as I'm involved. That one, yeah. You broke up when you were saying that, but that's the person you were speaking about.
Yes.
Yeah. Would you rather be able to pause or rewind your life?
Pause.
Why?
I don't know. I feel like if you're in it's easier to like make. So say you make a mistake and you're like, oh, I wish I could do that. It's easier to make up for that mistake as you go on in the future. Like there's not many things you can't recover from. Whereas sometimes it's nice to just pause, take the moment in.
I disagree. I would go rewind because just say like you've just had an argument with someone, right, and something slipped out. Okay, you said something you really, really regret. Rewind it. You don't say it. Right. You have the option, obviously, during that argument to pause, for example, and take a breath. But when you're in the heat of the moment, you might not grab it and pause or pause your life. You're in the heat of the moment. You're losing your temper. You're going to do something. Plus, rewind. Say if someone's died in your family that you want to revisit, you can rewind and see them. Or if you want to go through a weekend of Premier League fixtures, rewind to the Friday and then put on a bet and get everything right. Earning millions,
Yeah,
that sort
but
of thing.
I suppose if you put it like that, then
But
if your only purpose of rewinding is to just change the future, then yeah. But I think if you're gonna if you can do that, if you could only ever rewind just to relive a certain moment. So there you go. Yeah.
I'd
So
still do rewind.
What?
If
So
you could rewind but not change anything that happened or pause, I'd still do rewind, because when you pause, what are you doing?
if you look at it like that, it just gets harder and harder every time you go back and relive that moment, because you know that because eventually you have to go back to the present day. You know that they're not going to be there when you get back to the present day.
Yeah, but I agree. I would still, though, what I said is you can rewind and change the future. If the future had to stay the same, and like you say, you could only rewind and relive something that's happened, I'd still do that, because I'd go back and relive times with like my pets that have died, or relive times with my family members that have died, or relive like a moment like watching the Springboks win the Rugby World Cup or watching Chelsea win the Champions League, like silly stuff like that. You could relive that moment. Whereas when you pausing is also cool, because yeah, you could literally, I'm thinking purely of like lions. You could pause and have a nap if you was tired, or you could pause and like do something that's going to maybe earn you money while everyone else is paused, like rob a bank or something. But like you could, yeah, there's a lot that you could do. Yeah, that
Also,
actually might make life a lot better.
also as well with
I'm
the
thinking
rewind,
purely of like memories with loved ones,
yeah,
but
but
pausing.
saying that, if you was to just constantly rewind, it would take what's special from that moment away. Because if you're just like, well, I can always go back and do it again, that moment never becomes special. It's like, do you know when you go out for a really nice meal and you're like, that meal was unreal, and you think about that meal in the past, but if you went out for that meal every single night, you'd be like, well, it's just fucking, it's average food now. It's not even that special.
True.
Good memories
But
are good
what
memories
are
are
you
good
pausing
memories because you
for?
know they're only ever going to happen once.
Yeah, what are you pausing for though?
Rob Banks.
Just to make you laugh better in that sense.
Uh, be
You
rich.
could pause.
But no, I do.
You
I
could
like.
pause the world and fucking find a cure for cancer, however long it takes. If you had like a family member dying or something.
So if you're pausing, so there we go. That's if you're pausing, is it only you that pauses? Because I feel like you've got to apply the rules to both things. If you're going to rewind, like it's only you that rewinds. You don't get to get put back in that moment, if that makes sense. Like Click, the film Click, when he rewinds, he's just there watching it. He's not actually changing what's happened, is he?
Well, you can rewind and then put yourself into the body to relive it.
Okay, then. So if you could pause, then maybe you could select a few people that you can pause with you. Like, we're just gonna enjoy life for a little bit.
Yeah, you could live forever. You might have changed my mind, you know.
It's an argument.
Yeah, you might. I think you've changed my mind. Pausing, you could literally rob banks, become a millionaire, make your life easier. Um, Pausing, you could, if you had someone dying, you could literally pause and try and find a cure or find a way to stop it happening.
We could just spend some
Um,
minutes with them.
and if you could pause people with you, then yeah, you could just fuck off to like Timbuktu for a holiday while everything else is paused. You wouldn't be scared of anything either, because you wouldn't be scared to go in the sea because everything in there is paused.
Like a punch a
You wouldn't
shark.
be like you could do anything. Yeah, yeah. I think you've changed my mind. I think pause definitely.
There we go, mate.
Yeah. All right. Pause.
You got another one?
Would you rather not be able to lie or always have to lie? I.e., it's the same as asking, would you rather not be able to tell the truth or always tell the truth?
I'd always have to lie.
What, rather than not being able to lie? Do you like this food I've just cooked you? No, shit.
Yeah, no, I don't. Like, I'd always have to lie.
Do you think I'm good looking? No, you're bum.
Um,
Do you think I'm good at rugby? No, you're shit.
uh, yeah, no, I feel I'd rather lie to people because I feel like
They're nothing to the truth.
but there's an extent to lying, isn't there? There's like little white lies, but then
Little fibs.
it's like I suppose it's say like someone gave you a true statement, would you then have to lie about that statement? Say like someone like there's like put it basic, someone's like, is this a burger? You'd be like, no, it's toast. Would you have to be like that?
Oh yeah, I think only ever tell the truth, I only ever lie.
Um, well then I suppose yeah, if you go like if you're putting it down to that smaller detail, I'd always tell the truth.
but truth can also hurt sometimes. But then if you lie all the time, then nothing's ever real.
Yeah. And that's no one. Can people tell you're lying?
I don't know. Isn't there that film,
Liar, liar with Jim Carrey.
Yes Man, and then Liar Liar? Yeah,
Yes Man is where he just says yes to everything.
he can only say yes to things.
Yeah, whereas liar, liar, his son like wishes that he can't lie anymore.
Yeah, I don't really have an answer. I'm gonna have to sit on the fence.
I don't think you
I,
can do that, Bill. The whole point in Would You Rather is you say what you would rather do.
I think both will cause you a lot of issues
Mm.
because being truthful sometimes is not good either.
No, but I feel like you could get further being, well, I say that people that are deceitful get pretty far, don't they? But
Tinder swindler.
yeah, I suppose it depends. It depends on how much you value relationships with people. Because if you're always going to be lying in that, you're never going to build all your relationships with people are just going to be superficial. Because people are always going to take what you say with a pinch of salt, and they're never really going to be like one to trust you with their secrets and all stuff like that. Whereas if you're always honest, always telling the truth, you're probably going to build better relationships, have a more fulfilling life.
Yeah, I agree. You've convinced me. I do think truth. I'd go truth. This is a good one. I will answer first. Would you rather live in a world with no disease, right, or live in a world with income equality, right? I know my answer to this one. It would be I don't really care about disease as such because we live in the UK where you don't really have disease. You're jabbed for most things, and the things that you aren't jabbed for, like malaria or whatever, you'd get jabbed for if you went into a country or you were planning to go to a country that had malaria or rabies or something, right? In a first world country, you don't really worry too much about disease. So I don't really care about disease too much. And although there are countries that are disease ridden, I feel like if you had income equality everywhere around the world, why don't we have disease? Why don't first world countries typically, why are they the ones that have vaccinations and stuff? Because they're richer. If there was income equality all over the world, then those poorer countries where malaria is rife or AIDS is still rife because they don't have the same medicine as us, or rabies is rife or whatever, they'd be able to sort it out. Not right away, but with income equality, probably still people will die over the next few years, but they'd be able to use money to develop drugs just like first world countries have to stop the diseases anyway. So I think income equality for me on that one.
Yeah, I suppose that's a bit of a no-brainer because I suppose a lot of diseases are curable, but yeah, it's funding that stops that and the conditions that people live in and things like that. But is it income equality as in there's just a universal income, so every person in every country in the world earns like 50 grand a year,
I don't
regardless.
know. I think I wouldn't do that because that's just pure communism. But I think income equality to me, I think means I don't agree with communism at all. I don't think everyone should earn the same. A cleaner should not earn the same as a doctor. Like it shouldn't happen, in my opinion, because that doctor's gone to uni for 8 years to be a doctor and he saves lives, a brain surgeon over someone who cleans toilets or something. But to me, what income equality is currently, if you are a doctor in Pakistan, you'll earn a quarter of what a doctor earns in England. If you are a cleaner in
Hey,
Pakistan,
English doctors are
or like
cool for what they do.
no, but like a brain surgeon would, like in other countries, in poorer countries, you earn a fraction. Like in South Africa, even people who do the same job as someone in England earn a fraction of what they would earn. So to me, I think if everyone doing the same job around the world got the same money, if every cleaner in the world got the same money, if every salesman in the world got the same basic salary, if every doctor in the world got paid the same, if all athletes got paid the same, that sort of thing, that's what it means to me. So there'd still be poorer people in the world, but that country as a whole would have a better economy, meaning it could fund more because there's still poor people in the UK, right?
Yeah.
However, they live in a country where we have the NHS, where they can get vaccinations, where they do have access to medicine, etc., which doesn't always mean that you are cured of something necessarily. But if those other countries had more money and people earned more for doing the same job as that people do in the UK, then the economy as a whole would grow. And that's when you can start looking at, improving the medical facilities and what have you.
So to a couple of points on that, if you didn't take it just like a face value of a would you rather it wasn't a perfect world, if you gave everyone an equal income, like if they say every doctor got the same, every janitor got the same or whatever, then it could, I'm not saying it would 100%, but then it could take the drive of people to perform better out, because the reason people try and do better and innovative and make things and shit like that is because they want to do better in life. And 9 times out of 10, it's partly monetary driven, even if they do just want to do it for the greater good. So if you're saying like, oh, you're a brain surgeon, but you're only ever going to earn 250k a year maximum, yeah. Fucking, you only ever say you're only ever going to earn 250k a year maximum, then it might prevent other brain surgeons from them being like, oh, I'm going to try and invent this new technique that could help remove tumors with 99% efficiency, because there's nothing in it. I might as well just do my job well, and I know I'm going to be set for life. Same reason I wouldn't set up companies that find cures for things or make life easier for people and stuff like that. I don't think it's bad for
No,
that's one.
That's not what I meant though. What I mean, to clarify more, is take teachers, right? A junior teacher earns X, someone with 5 years experience earns X, someone who's a head of year group earns X, a head teacher earns X. There's still tiers. In a sales company, a junior earns that basic salary, a trainee earns that, a senior earns this, a principal consultant earns this, a team lead earns this, a managing director earns this. Still within companies and still within professions, as you go up the ranks, you earn more. What my point is currently in South Africa, for example, a junior teacher would earn the equivalent of, let's say, £12,000, whereas a junior teacher here will earn £28,000. That's more what I mean. So you still have tiers within companies. Like, let's take rugby, for example. A Saracens player who doesn't play for England earns less than England internationals earn, but they still earn a decent wage, and they'd probably earn more than a pro rugby player who plays in Tonga or in Italy or in Scotland, for example. Right, that's what I'm saying though. So you can still earn more in your profession. You still go up the ranks in a company. As a doctor, you still come in and start off on A&E, and then maybe you're a GP or you specialize into something like neuroscience, etc., and you move up. But my point is more, whether it's a junior teacher or a senior teacher, you earn the same as other junior teachers around the world. And then when you go up to senior, everyone earns the same around the world as a senior teacher with the same level of experience. All the head teachers earn the same. All the cleaners on the same level earn the same. All the doctors of a neuroscience professional will probably earn more than a GP or a A&E doctor, but all the brain surgeons earn the same. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
You get what I mean?
Yeah, I get. But then it's that same argument. Would it then stop? It would stop the drive for competition in the set, or it'd be like, once I've reached the maximal level, there's no need to try and push it further. So if you was to say like across the board education got paid the same, the reason there's outstanding schools in that is because, and they earn so much money, these private schools, and that's because they have such exceptional like educators, and people are always trying to be like the next best thing in education and stuff like that. Whereas if you're like, it doesn't matter where I work, and as soon as I reach that top level, that's it. It's cool. I don't have to try and be better than I am. I can just done.
Yeah, but I don't think
I think the equal income thing would be good, but it's like you have a base salary, which is like so say you come in at an entry level and you're like, cool, everyone is going to get X amount, but from there, growth is like unlimited. There's no ceiling to it. So as long as you consistently perform better and can prove that you're better, then your earning potential is unlimited. Yeah. Everyone comes in at a base salary.
Yeah, but that's fine. Even in the example that you said, so if you're in South Africa working at the #1 school in South Africa, you should earn the same as what a teacher would earn working at the #1 school in England. You can still have things like that. Just because you're a teacher working for a shitty state school, and a teacher working for another shitty state school in a poorer country is going to earn the same as you. if you're a teacher earning 10 grand more because you're at a posh private school that's one of the top in the country, I'm just saying that needs to correlate, because currently I'm saying the poorer countries around the world. What even was the question? So income equality or no disease.
Yeah.
So that's what income equality is to me. You may not, again, as a teacher, taking that example, yeah, naturally you're going to earn less than a teacher who's at a private school. But I'm saying you still earn more than probably a teacher who lives in India who works at a private school for working at a shitty state school in England. That's the income equality for me. So I would go income equality, I think.
Yeah, fair. I suppose, yeah, it's not a bad idea, but it's just the wider implications of it, isn't it? And the reason that certain countries get paid more and all things like that is obviously how like powerful the country is and how much they're worth as a country. The reason other countries don't have as much is because they don't have as much political power. Is that right? They don't have as much pull as other countries. So if you start doing that, then I suppose it makes every country neutral in that sense, that there'd never be a reason to go chase something in another country if you know you're going to be able to live a great life in the country that you currently live in.
Yeah, I'm sure the Conservative Party would like that as well, because it would stop the votes.
But yeah,
this is so on the face of this one. This, like, in my head when I see this question, I thought, yeah, obviously this. But then when you deep it a bit more, you'll. So
we are going to go very deep.
No, but would you rather live the rest of your life in the wilderness or in prison? You'd say the first thing that goes in your head naturally is wilderness, because it's not prison. Yeah. But like realistically, in the actual wilderness of the world, you'd die within probably a couple of days.
All right. Okay, so
you're not Bear Grylls, or you're not Shaka Zulu back in the day who lived in the wilderness. You are just a normal man who's used to Shaka Zulu. What?
Who's that?
King Shaka, old Zulu chief. Anyway, you're you, right? You're used to technology. You're used to.
I was in fucking Cubs when I was a kid, so I've got
to
start a fire and tie a knot.
But no, when you deep it, my head goes, yeah, well, I don't want to live in prison for the rest of my life, because in prison you will, unless you're murdered or something, you will probably live a long time in prison, which is peak. But you go into the wilderness, you realistically, like, you're just dropped, say, in this fucking the Sahara or whatever, or in the desert, or out like in Kruger National Park in South Africa. You just drop there, or in Botswana where lions and zebras and shit still roam freely. You're going to be dead within probably a few days, realistically.
Okay,
even if it's wilderness, like as in like super cold countries where you're living in an igloo and catching fish, you're probably still going to die. You don't have the means to survive, if you get what I mean.
I don't know, mate. I think, but yeah, I suppose it's where, like, what prison you're getting dropped into. Because do you see that what's that program on Netflix, World's Toughest Prisons? With that geezer in it. But so he went to this prison, I think it was in Cyprus, on one of the episodes, and it's like a fucking 5-star hotel. It's so nice. And then you got like in a lot of is it Scandinavian countries like
Norway?
Yeah,
they've got prisons that are literally like just apartments.
Yeah, that's it. And they'll, like, people get let out on day release to go work.
And then come like people. I see the one in Norway where like some bloke even was given an evening release and he could stay at home, and he was taking out a woman on a date, and he was given day release to go on a date with a woman. Like, it's so obviously if it's that prison for the rest of your life, then grand. But let's just say bog standard prison.
Bog standard prison.
So not like the most extreme or horrid, just a bog standard prison in the UK. You can't do that nice shit we're talking about, but you're not surrounded. You're not on like death row in the States or something, which is horrendous. Or Alcatraz.
If you're in the wilderness, do you get to be with anyone else, or are you secluded for the rest of your life?
I guess you could be with someone else.
Cool. Yeah, take your missus, have a couple of kids. If you get dropped in like a bog standard forest, for example, we're not talking about extreme conditions or nothing. Then I think
you don't have wilderness is those extreme conditions. Like, you don't have wilderness in England. You can't go to the little forest at the end of your road or That's not wilderness.
Well, an American wilderness would be like forests and mountains and shit.
Yeah, but their wilderness, like in Montana or like Oregon, isn't just like our. That is actual wilderness where you're absolute miles from anything. You don't really have that in the UK.
Mm.
Like, I don't think the UK has wilderness. What do you have, like Thorndon County Park, the Lake
Um,
District?
no, I mean,
It's like,
I I would.
so I think you've got to think of those extreme, because even in the States where they have those forests, you can be tens of miles deep with no contact surrounding you, tens of miles, and you are properly in the wilderness because America's so big.
Mm. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, it depends. If you could be with someone and you had the means to survive, like even if it was basic stuff, then yeah, people do it, don't they? People do go live in the wilderness.
Yeah, I would probably choose that as well because again, you could go with your missus or whatever,
Otherwise, you're just going
and
to
if you could
spend the rest of your
survive,
life, spend the
it'd
rest of
be a
your life
no-brainer.
not wanting to drop the soap.
Yeah, um, or dropping it on purpose. But the like, have you
What are
seen
you
the
up to in
film
your spare times? That's you, mate.
like Lost? Have you watched Lost?
No, I've never seen it. I know the
Like they survive there, and there's a film I think called Blue Lagoon where a young couple like are abandoned on this peng resort-looking island, and they basically have to live themselves. But you get through it. If you could get through it and actually live and survive, then it would be a no-brainer. But when I think wilderness, I'm thinking, imagine just getting dropped into the desert or like into the jungle
But
in South America.
the
Or
desert's different though, isn't it? Because the desert is barren. Like there's no life in the desert. Like you're someone like that, you're fucked because there's no water or very, very hard to come by water. But barely any animals that you could like hunt and eat. So
yeah,
what
true,
you'd have to like wilderness, there'd have to be, even if you necessarily wasn't good at it, there'd have to be the means to like there'd be like possibility for a shelter like that you could make. There's water source, there's plenty of things to eat.
true.
If you're given equal opportunity to survive, I think I'd take the wilderness.
Yeah, I will take wilderness for sure. Like fuck spending the rest of your life in prison. Um, but I just think it depends what wilderness. But you can't choose. This is just would you rather. You could say yes to it, right? And they could drop you in one of the worst wildernesses in the world,
Mate,
and then you would die. But you could also just
maybe
be in
we should start. Maybe
a
we should
place
start
where
a company called Would You
you can
Rather?
survive,
These things.
but you're just in the wilderness. It's different from being in like a proper, like in Australia, in the outback in Australia. You can survive. There are the means to survive, but there's so many venomous things and so many predators that can kill you.
But then that's like the outback in Australia. You start talking about getting dropped in the outback.
Well, yeah, just that's the wilderness that they choose you.
So yeah, if you're like that, that's the same sort of thing. It's just fucking barren, isn't it? Like it's just a desert. And if you couldn't choose, then yeah, I suppose it would be you'd choose prison for the guarantee that you'd just go to a normal prison.
But
But
would you want to live there, or would you? I think I'd take the risk still.
what you take your chances of just dying in the desert?
Well, I'd take the risk in hope that the wilderness I get sent to isn't that. I guess you can't choose, but living the rest of your life in prison because you're not then with your loved ones either.
Get
So say you've
visitation.
got a wife,
Get
she visits you
visitation.
once a week, probably forgets about you and shags the neighbour.
Conjugal visit, is that what it's called?
Yeah, you can get those. I think that's only for special occasions.
Well,
I don't even know if they're a thing in the UK either.
I don't know.
I don't think I've ever heard a story of it happening. Like
I
it's
don't
always in
frequent too
American
many
films.
prisons, to be fair. I don't know about you.
No, but it's always in American films and American series that are based around prison. Whereas when you have like a UK film that's in prison, it's never mentioned, or a documentary or whatever. So I don't even know it's a thing, but I'm going to look it up. They do not allow conjugal visits in the UK. However, home visits with a greater emphasis on blah blah blah, where the prison would be returned, are allowed. So I guess if you had a home visit, you could shag. If that's what you cared about, I personally wouldn't. But right, this is my last one, and then Charles got the only one that he's input into the conversation, but it's a good one to end on. Would you rather know what people are thinking about you constantly, or have people say it to your face if they're thinking about you? negative or positive.
So is that kind of like being able to read people's minds?
Yeah, you can either read someone's mind when they're thinking negatively about you, for example, or when they're thinking negatively about it, they always have to come and say it to your face.
I would take the reading their mind.
Would you?
Yeah, mate. Imagine if imagine how shit it'd be. Like someone's standing there and just thinking like, "You're right, cunt. Like I fucking hate you, you absolute dickhead." And they just walk up you with all your mates. They just come up to you and say, "You're like, oh, cheers, mate." Fucking every time. Whereas if you could read someone's mind, you'd be like, "Oh, do you know what? Don't want the aggro. I can just avoid that person."
No, I couldn't take that. I'd rather someone say it to my face. I think because like you're sitting there and someone is thinking. Let's say you're at a family meal and someone is thinking like, "This Charlie's an absolute cunt. Like he's just a failure. He's a horrid."
Like your mum with you at every family meal.
Yeah, again, don't project your own issues onto me. But this person's at a meal with you, and you can hear them thinking it, but they're not saying anything to you. You can't then be horrible to that person or confront that person because what do you say? I can read your mind. You're thinking about me.
Yeah,
It would annoy you.
They'd be creeped out then and never think anything negative again.
You're saying no, because you're saying that you wouldn't care, but you would. You'd get to a point where you would. Whereas if someone said something to my face, I'd defend myself and I'd say, "Wang on, geezer. First of all, X," and I'd argue with them about it and say, "Why do you think this?" or "What's happened? What's your problem?" And I'll argue with them about it. But someone there is just thinking horrible things about you, and you're there. You can't even say anything to them about it.
I mean, you could.
What? Oh, I've read your mind.
No, you'd just be like looking at him. You'd be like, "You're right, mate. You sound wrong."
Then someone goes, "Yeah, no, I'm fine."
What? Like, I know you're fucking lying, mate. If you think, is it only ever negative as well, or is it negative and positive?
Well, I think positive's not really. It wouldn't.
See,
I think
you're just looking for drama. That's what it is.
no, because I think if someone says something positive to you, you like it, and if someone thinks something positive about you, you'd like it as well. You wouldn't need that person necessarily to say it to your face. If someone was thinking nice things about you, you'd still feel happy. So I think that one doesn't really matter whether they say it to your face or think about it if you know that it's there. But if it's negative,
hold that thought for 2 seconds. My laptop's about to run out of battery.
But yeah, no, I'd go for face to. You'd with us?
I mean,
I'd go for face to wrap that one up because I'd think it would make you angry. Like say in your example, you're at the pub with your mates and someone just comes up to you and starts giving it to you. That pisses you off.
yeah.
But everyone knows why it's pissed you off and they've seen that person. If you're just there and one of your mates is thinking something horrible about you constantly, it will still annoy you, but you can't actually do anything about it. And you're then grumpy and your mates might think you're being a dick, etc. I think it'd be too much to have people, because people must think negatively all the time, I guess, and it would just frustrate you. I think it would frustrate me more to have someone across me thinking negatively about me and not saying anything than it would if they just said, "Well, I don't like this," or "I think you're a dick because you've done this," and then I'd say,
Like
"Well, why?"
everyone's thoughts all the time, no matter what, or is it like you have to be looking at someone and then you can hear their thoughts?
No, everyone's thoughts negative. I guess if they're around you though, like,
Yeah.
because if someone lives in fucking Timbuktu, they're not going to get on a flight and come and say it to your face, are they? So I guess people that you're with, maybe.
Yeah. But now I suppose like on that part, imagine if you're out and about and you've just got fucking like 50 people come up to you on a night out and be like, "Oh, I think you're a twat," every time, and then you've got your mate standing there like, "Are you gonna have this?" Like so people are just coming up to you, giving it all the time. You're gonna get riled up. I feel like it's more of a recipe for disaster, whereas you can rise above it more if you just end of the day, yeah.
But that's probably the only situation that I wouldn't mind it in a club because I would go up to people and say, "You've just thought that I'm a cunt in your head, or you've just thought this about me in your head. Watch yourself," and it would creep them out. But like when you're at a family meal, you can't say, "I'm a mind reader and I just heard what you said." I wouldn't mind it in a club because I would do that if people are thinking about you. But I'd go say it to your face. I think definitely. But that's just me.
Yeah, it's fair enough. Yeah, I'd go to mind reading. Right. So last would you rather question. Would you rather know when you're going to die or how you're going to die?
How?
Why?
Because I think there's still I think, I think how? I think because there's still mystery and you're not counting down to your death. Someone tells you, oh, you die of cancer, or you get hit by a car, or you have a heart attack, or you do this, or whatever method it is, you get murdered, like whatever it could be horrific, it could be you drown, like it could be whatever. There's still a mystery, and you're not counting down the days. Let's say you get told you die in 10 years' time, you are literally counting down to that day every single day, thinking, I've only got 9 years left, I've only got 8.5 years left, I've only got 8 years left. And you're just counting down to that date constantly in your head. And it could be in 6 months' time, in which case the last 6 months of your life is going to be dreadful. Whereas if someone tells you you get hit by a car, you're not thinking of the time, so you're still enjoying your life. And you're not then realistically going to avoid ever driving or ever being near cars because you get told you get hit by a car. I think you just sort of live your life still. Whereas with that date, if it was like, oh, the date you die is when you're 95, then there's no issues because you're like, well, that's a good innings. But it's more of an issue if the date's in a couple of years, or if it's in 10 years, or if it's when you're 60, which is relatively young to die. I think you don't enjoy your life because you're constantly focused on that. You're working towards that date that you know in your head that you're going to die.
Yeah.
I think I wouldn't want to know the date. If you told me the method, I'd be like, cool.
See, I think it could go the other way in the sense if you knew how, then a lot of people would avoid that situation. Like if it'd be like, okay, yeah, you get hit by a car, people would avoid going near roads and stuff like that. Whereas it's my view, and it would be if I knew when I was going to die, I'd just start fucking like enjoying my life to that absolute maximum and leaving people, the people that like I care about, in that in the best possible situation. Whereas if you're like, oh yeah, you get hit by a car and it turns out you die tomorrow, you fucking like you walk out your front door, you're dead. And it's like, oh cool. Yeah, I knew I was gonna die like that, but I didn't know it was gonna happen tomorrow.
Yeah, but what would you do with your last day of your life if you knew the date was tomorrow?
Fucking
Cry and be miserable.
I'd have the best day of my life.
I don't know.
That's your perception on it, though, isn't it? That's how you think. That's how if you feel like that, then that's the sort of day you're gonna have. Whereas I think some people, including myself, would be like fucking sick. Last day of your life, cram in as much as you can.
You talk hogwash. You get told you're dying tomorrow, and you're gonna be like, "Oh, cool, I'm gonna have something." What are you gonna do? All your mates are at work. Your family's at work. What are you gonna do? Order a Chinese.
If I phoned a few of my mates and went, "I'm gonna die tomorrow, mate," they'd probably try and figure out a way to get out of work.
Oh, there you go. You're a nutter.
Well, I mean, we're living in a would you rather world, so people know these are absolutes. Because if you turn around to someone when I'm gonna get hit by a car, that's how I'm gonna die. They'd be like, "Are you sure, mate?"
Yeah, but then you're saying about, oh, so you'd avoid cars. If you get told you're going to die of cancer, you're not avoiding anything.
Yeah, but
you're not dreading something. You're still just living your life and saying 50 years you're going to get diagnosed with cancer, or you're going to have a heart attack, but it's not from eating unhealthy food. It's just going to be random. So you're not then going to try and live a healthier life, let's say, because the heart attack isn't from that. It's just a random heart attack. You're not going to live your life any differently. Something like getting hit by a car, yeah, people would try and avoid roads and avoid cars and whatnot, and it would affect your life. But if it was just like cancer or heart attack, or you die in your sleep, you just go to sleep one night in old age and never wake up. Or if it's a plane crash, I then would actually never get on a plane again. But the plane would then come crashing into your house or something. So I don't know. I still think method, because I think there's a few methods that would change your life, like getting hit by a car or choking on a fucking steak. You'd never eat steak again for the rest of your life. But I think, say it's just a disease, or it's of old age, or it's whatever, then you wouldn't change anything in your life.
In that situation, then it wouldn't really even matter if you was, and then it wouldn't matter either way, because it'd be like, well, if you found out when, and it was like, you're not going to die till you're 95, you'd be like, cool, I'll just carry on living life as is. I think
that's
like, say you found out that your company was firing loads of people, and you were on that list to be fired, but they didn't tell you when it was going to happen. That whole day, every time someone comes to speak to you, like, fuck, this is it. Oh, fuck, this could be it. This could be it. This could be it. This could be it. Whereas if you know exactly the time and place, you'd be like, okay, cool. You can prepare yourself for it. You'd be like, I'm going to get fired at 3 p.m. today. And then you'll be like, do you know what? I'm gonna fucking empty the company's bank accounts in the meantime. And
No, I think we have just different perspectives. If I was told you're going to be fired at 3 p.m. tomorrow, I'd be pissed off and I'd do fuck all my last day of work. So fuck you. If you're told you're going to get fired at some point, you could be at that company for 10 more years.
More interesting.
You could be at that company for 10 more years before you get fired. You're just going to get fired at some point, or you're given a specific date.
For those 10 years, you're gonna be on edge thinking, oh, what's the fucking point? I'm gonna get fired soon anyway.
Oh, because in that 10 years, you could get 4 promotions, earn a fucking mint, and then get made redundant during hard times. You could still have a lot of good times in that 10 years.
Doing all of this stuff, and then you were doing all this stuff for this company, and then one day, just out of the blue, they'd be like, you're fired, by the way. And you're like, well, I've just done all of that for absolutely nothing.
No, but it's not for nothing because you've earned a fuckload of money yourself.
You've just been sacked.
Yeah, but you've been sacked in 10 years after earning a mint.
We're making this too much about work. If it's like when it comes to death.
No, my answer is the same. I would rather know the method and not the time. Otherwise, I think I would constantly be, like, say, in that same example, again, if I'm told you're going to get fired, but we don't know when, I'd find it easier to continue as normal. If I was told you're going to get fired in exactly 10 years, I'm counting down to that date in my head. Same with the death thing. If I know the date, I'm counting down to that date. Again, if it is when you're 96 of old age, that's very different. But you run the risk of it not being. And I'd rather know the method of death than the countdown, basically.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think I'd just rather know the dates, and then I can plan my life accordingly.
Yeah. How do you plan your life now?
Well, I don't know. I don't know when I'm going to die, so I just kind of live life.
What is your life plan though? When's marriage and kids?
I don't know, mate. I've got to meet someone first. Fucking hell, you sound like my mum.
We only want the best for each other. But yeah, no, I think our perspectives are different on that one. So I'd want the method and not the time, because I wouldn't want to be counting down. Yeah, well, because in the same, actually, I'm not ended. In the same sense, when you leave your house in the morning, you're saying you want to know the time and not the method, because if you knew you were hit by a car, you'd avoid cars or whatever. But every day when you leave your house, you could get hit by a car. Every time you get on a plane, there is a minuscule, but there is a chance that the plane could crash. There is always a chance you could develop some sort of cancer. Yeah. So all of these dangers are there anyway. All it is you know which method is going to get you.
I feel like you're a bit pedantic with the whole method thing now.
No, why?
You're fucking nitpicking at it.
No.
Okay then, but
you
then
can hit my car any day you like.
But imagine, okay then, so it's to say you know the method, but you can't. Let's say it's a method like car crash or you get killed by someone or something like that, but you never know when it's going to happen. Every time you're in a car or you're in a situation where you're just on your own, things like, or you could be murdered, you're always going to be thinking, fuck, is this it? Is this it? Am I going to die now? Whereas if you knew the exact day, you'd be like, cool, right, it's coming up. I've made my peace.
Yeah, different perspectives. I don't think we can convince one another. But yeah, that was a good one to end on. Thanks for all the 10 people who've made it this far on this pixelated Zoom.
Put a proper clickbaity title on this episode.
Yeah, for sure.